travelers, we are here at Sandals Dunn's River bringing you our full thoughts and review of this newly opened Sandals Resort.
We are about to head to the airport, so we've been here for the last 5 days. We're gonna get into all of the pros of this resort, which there are many we are very happy to report. And then stay tuned to the end of the video. We're gonna get into some of the cons of this resort, which there aren't that many. But before we dive in, I did want to mention that I am a travel agent that specializes in Sandals vacations. So if you're interested in coming to Sandals Dunn's River, I would love to help you do that. In case you don't know, it is completely free to work with a travel agent, and it's great to book, especially with somebody who just came here and has a lot of knowledge to share. So if you're interested in more information or perhaps getting a no obligation quote, I'll put my email address in the video description below.
So let's get into the pros of Sandals Dunn's River. The first one is the overall aesthetic of the resort. It is Sandals' new design that you'll see across some of their properties. We were at Sandals Royal Curacao last year, and a lot of the overall vibe and design is very similar. It's more new, it's modern, it's not the traditional style of sandals that you might see at some of the older resorts, but it's still sandals, which is great. It's very clean, it's very fresh, and it's still Caribbean, which is also nice.
Right, you'll really see that when you take a look at the lobby.
The lobby's great.
Especially walk in, it's a lot of like light tone woods, it's a lot of greeneries. It's just like you take a look at the resort and you're just like, oh, it's definitely different than what you've been seeing, definitely more modern, but we definitely like the vibe that the new resorts have been going in. And along those lines with the new aesthetic, they've been trying some new concepts as well. And our favorite new concept that they have been going into is the Dunn's Rum Club. This is a brand new thing that they've done. They opened here at Sandals Dunn's River, and it is, as the name suggests, a rum club.
At this resort, it takes the place of some of the English-style pubs that you'll find at some of the other resorts. That's not official, but the overall vibe and feel of it is the same. It's open till 2 a.m. It serves late-night cocktails, late-night snacks, and we were there the last 2 nights, and the crowd there was just playing pool, watching some football games, so it definitely fits the bill of your English-style pub here at Dunn's River.
It was a perfect thing for a resort in Jamaica. We love a good espresso martini, so the espresso martinis were made with like Jamaican Blue Mountain espresso. It was so good, and you know a espresso martini is gonna be good if they ask if you like a creamy, like a rum cream or without rum cream. So like very great. We even did they have rum flights. They have a whole menu of different cocktails with rum, but they also have a full bar. So if you don't like rum, there's still plenty for you to do there, but it's really big. There's lots to do there, and the staff is really great there. Very engaging. They have music. They have DJs at night, so it's definitely like the thing to do after dinner. Really awesome, solid vibe. Love this new addition. Hope they do it at other new resorts as well.
Yeah, we don't know if that's the rum club concept is something they're going to roll out to other resorts, since the rum is obviously very specific to Jamaica. There are obviously plenty of other Jamaican Sandals properties, so we'll see, but overall it's a really nice piece of the resort here. Keeping on the topic of new concepts, right by Dunn's Rum Club is Bloom Coffee Shop. This more or less replaces the Café de Paris at some of the other Sandals properties. Again, very in theme with Jamaica. The design is great. It has that Sandals fresh look that we were talking about earlier, and they serve your Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. It's interesting that it has a sit-down service and to-go service. We walked in for the first time we went there, and the server brings you water and it offers you a pastry. So it's a nice piece of the resort, in addition to the new concepts of restaurants they have here as well. So pretty much every restaurant here, I believe, is a new concept.
Except for Zuka. Which was premiered at Curacao. So Zuka is only at one other resort. So
we'll say everything is new in the sense that it's not part of the traditional Sandals.
Right, it's all
lineup
the
of
new
concepts.
Wave of Sandals. So they're definitely taking things in a very new direction, which is good. I don't think we had a bad meal here in terms of dinners. Everything was really quite good. Breakfast and lunch is always basic foods.
Yeah.
It's always, omelets and bacon and sausage and fruit and pastries for, buffet breakfast and that kind of thing. And it's always like cheeseburgers and fries and salads and, standard that you're going to find at any all-inclusive. But dinners are really solid at Sandals. I think we had really fantastic meals across the board. So the next thing, which are really pros in our books, because we have struggled with these things at some of the other Sandals resorts, are struggling to find pool chairs or struggling to find chairs by the pool or by the beach in the morning without especially having to get up at 6 a.m. and or struggling to find floaties in the pool. There was a plethora at this resort, and it's probably helpful to know this resort was pretty much at capacity. When we searched, a few days before the trip, there was maybe a handful of rooms available. So unless they just had marked them as full and it wasn't actually at capacity, but never had a problem, even past 10 o'clock, to be able to find chairs by the main pool with even an umbrella.
And a table.
And 2 chairs with a table in the middle and an umbrella. Had no problem to do that. So. And
then even walking into the pool in the middle of the day, there were multiple floaties available. So if you're coming back from lunch or the bathroom, there's still some available. And at other resorts, that was never really the case. They were always pretty hard to come by.
And it would be we would take turns if we were going to the restroom. It'd be you guard that floaty with your life, because if you left to do something, it's like somebody would grab it.
Right.
We never felt that was the case. So it was really great to see that, because even on our last trip a couple months ago in Grenada, it was every day. That was a family trip. My dad got up every day at 6 or 7 a.m. and we couldn't even get enough chairs for everybody. It was the 6 of us shared 2 chairs, and it was just a spot for everybody to dump their stuff and get in the pool. So it was really wonderful to not see that here.
So on the topic of pools, Sandals Dunn's River introduced a new concept as well when it comes to their pool. They promoted it as a river pool, pretty much spanning the entire front of the resort between the main buildings and the beach. So it's actually 2 separate pools with a little walkway in between, but the whole idea is that the whole pool is connected. So it's different from your Sandals Grand Antigua, the big pool with the tower. St. Lucian, the Grand St. Lucian is very similar to that as well. They're both infinity pools, which is nice. So if you've been to Sandals Royal Barbados or Sandals Royal Curacao, you've seen infinity pools at those resorts. It's the same idea, but it's a long, curvy pool that kind of spans different areas of the resort. And I don't know that I had an opinion on it going into the resort. I was going into it open-minded, and it was great. I think it was very nicely laid out.
Yeah, I think when I first saw it, I thought it seemed small. I think it seemed thin to me, that we tend to choose the resorts that have the bigger pools. That's why we gravitated toward Antigua and Barbados and Curacao and stuff like that. So I think when we originally looked at this, we were maybe it's not going to be our favorite, but we really enjoyed it. It is much bigger. It almost seems like this resort is 50% pool.
Yeah.
So being pool people, we actually really enjoyed this, and it's actually cool because we would be in one, and we would slowly make our way to the other, and then you basically get out of one and you have a few steps, and then you get in the other, and then you make your way over.
Yeah.
And the second one, which is the quieter of one is the main. They call it the main pool, and then the other one has the swim up bar.
Yeah.
So it's cool, and they both of them have a large jacuzzi. Really cool concept. So we were fans of the river pool concept.
And with the layout of the pools, they were very mindful of how they play music during the day. So the DJ booth is pretty centrally located next to the Laughing Waters bar. At other resorts, we've seen a DJ kind of come in with a mobile setup throughout the day where they put up a stand and a portable speaker and then start playing off of that. So this is different, where they have almost like a sound system you'll find in a theme park or another more established venue, wired throughout the resort. So it's all the music is coming from one place. So even though the pool is very long and spread out, you're still getting the Caribbean music or whatever the DJ is playing throughout the day.
Yeah, like they actually built like the speakers, like it was like,
into the ground.
so it wasn't an eyesore, it very blended into the landscaping, so it was nice. And what we loved about this resort, they really paid attention to the details, as we just said, with those types of things with the speakers. But every morning at, is it 8:30 a.m., they have a live musician with, one morning it's a live electric violinist. Then it was a
saxophonist.
It was something different every morning, but they would be playing popular songs.
Yeah.
And it was so lovely.
It was great, yeah. So we saw a steel drum player, a saxophonist, and an electric violinist, and they did covers of pop songs. The last pro that we have, but certainly not least, is the service and the staff. Out of the 5 Sandals resorts now that we've been to,
technically 6 if we count Barbados and Royal. Barbados is 2, I guess.
So out of all of the Sandals that we've been to, the staff was the most standout here. And I don't think that's because this is a new resort. We also found the staff was stellar at Royal Curacao, where we know they brought in some of their top staff members from other resorts to Curacao. Jamaica is the home island of Sandals, so they really had the best of the best at their fingertips, and we never had a bad staff interaction here.
Not once. We'll get into cons in a little bit. There was a very small issue on day 1. It was handled so fast. I've never had a resort actually want feedback so bad.
Yes.
I even had somebody on day 2 just call, how's your experience so far? Any feedback you can provide for us? We're a new resort. This stuff is so critical for us. We want to hear what you're experiencing, listen, be able to take action. They really want to make sure that this resort is listening to the guests, which love that.
And at Edessa, which is the Greek restaurant, we ate dinner and breakfast there. Both times the staff gave out feedback cards, which I've never seen at a Sandals before. So that enforces the point that they are really open to feedback. They want to improve and be better. And they've already been open for over 4 months. And so I think they're really over the learning curve for the most part. Everything was smooth and efficient, and everybody was very well trained. So it was great.
Yeah, you can really tell they've hit a groove at this point. So I'm glad we didn't come in the initial, like with Curacao, we were there, 8 days into the opening, so that they were trying to get things up and running. You can tell they've really hit a groove here, and I'm glad we got to see it at this point and could share our experience nowadays.
And one of the days we were at the pool party in the main pool, and during that they do like a manager's welcome. So they bring out the managers from all the different departments at the resort that we never really knew existed. I guess you just don't really think.
You forget how much actually goes into running a place like this, like a manager for the butler's team and a manager for the photo studio and for the resort shop. And
they all came out, got introduced. The general manager said a few words as well, and he mentioned that there are 830 people who work here at the resort. And just to think about, that's a big number. Big shout out to everybody, but a couple people we wanted to shout out specifically. Thank you to Michael, Tara Lee, Candace, Mark, Lydia, Kamala, Tamarick Jr., Shelvina, Ronaldo, Chanel, King, Hakeem, and Giovanni. Again, everybody was great, but thank you to you guys, specifically who we interacted with. You really helped make a great vacation.
So now, just a couple of cons about the resort, and the first one is literally one that's kind of silly to even mention because there's nothing that they can do about it. But this resort is far from the airport. It's about a 90-minute drive. It's gonna be such a long travel day. And for the purposes of our trip, we were only here for 4 nights. So basically, our trip felt like it was only 3 days because we lost day 1 and we lost day 5 due to travel. So if you are coming to Sandals Dunn's River, come for at least a week because you are losing so much time with the travel. So just something to keep in mind. But I 100% think that it is worth the 90-minute drive from the airport, especially because the 2 resorts that are basically next to the airport, Sandals Montego Bay and Sandals Royal Caribbean, are much older resorts, they have very small pools, and pools are very important to us. So 100% think that this is worth the trek versus going to those.
And one thing to keep in mind when it comes to the travel time and kind of the value you're getting at the end of that travel is this is only half of the Dunn's River property. Sandals did announce that they are opening Sandals Royal Dunn's River in about 2026 or 2027. There is nothing confirmed yet. They've only started clearing the land next door. They haven't broken ground yet, but we spoke to somebody yesterday who said they're supposed to start that in 2024. It's going to be a brand new build, so building it from the ground up. Sandals Dunn's River was bought from, it was a Jewel resort that used to be Dunn's River back in the day, and then it became a Jewel, now it's Dunn's River again.
Yeah, like it was a Sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice homecoming for Sandals at this resort.
They got it back.
Yeah. So it's really only half the property. So once Royal Dunn's River opens, you're just getting so much more bang for your buck. Right now, Sandals Dunn's River is approximately 13 acres, which for context, it's about half the size of Sandals Royal Curacao. Everything is pretty densely packed, but nothing felt cramped or claustrophobic. It's just they're working with the land, and then I believe from what I was able to tell online, they're probably getting another 10 acres or so when they open Royal Dunn's River, so almost doubling the size of the property.
Yeah.
And I think once that is open, this is really a strong contender to be a flagship Sandals resort, which is fitting on the island of Jamaica.
As of now, our favorite resort is Barbados, Royal Barbados. I think like we'll have to come back when Royal Dunn's River opens because I feel like it may compete. So
yeah,
stay tuned. One of the other cons that happened was, so we said we had that really long travel day. We didn't actually arrive at the resort until 6:15 p.m. So we had a long travel day. We left our house at, 8 a.m.?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. So we were exhausted and we were hungry. It had been like 11 hours since we ate something other than Cheez-Its. We got there, we got to Club Sandals, they gave us our drink. Then they said our room wasn't ready. So when check-in time is 3 p.m. and you come after that, you expect to immediately be whisked away to your room.
Well, not just after that, but multiple hours.
Yes,
after
exactly.
that.
So we waited 30, 45 minutes for our room at that point. So the vacation did not start exactly as we had hoped.
But like Jenna said before, it was handled very well. They were
Yes.
communicative about it.
Yeah.
It was just not, that is something you should have as part of your process, is having the rooms ready for check-in.
Yeah.
And it just added to a long travel day.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was just one of those things, but it was then handled very well. Somebody followed up the next day, apologizing, asking for feedback.
Yeah.
And again, they kept following up. Somebody was always asking for feedback. That was the extent
Yeah.
of the cons.
It didn't take away from the overall experience. The other thing we noticed as well, which we read on a couple of reviews beforehand, was that the designated smoking areas of the resort were seemingly not enforced. So as people who are not smokers and frankly don't like the smell of smoke, cigarette smoke, it was a little bit off-putting that we could just be randomly walking somewhere and then there's people hanging out having a cigarette. And if you want to smoke, totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you do it within the places that are meant for you to do that in. I mean, that's just the way the world is in 2023. This is not something that's specific to Sandals. You walk into any sort of resort or establishment, they have some sort of smoking area. So hope that Sandals Dunn's River will enforce that a little bit.
Yeah.
Something noteworthy, again, didn't really detract too much from the experience, but
It was mainly on like the first 2 days. It was just like, it felt like everywhere we went, it was just like constant smell of cigarette smoke. The last 2 days, it didn't seem as much of an issue, so maybe there was just a lot more smokers the last few days and they just weren't heading to the designated smoking areas, but that was just something we happened to notice.
as we mentioned before, this was a repurposed property, and that was evident in some of the refurbishments that we saw. So just some paint was not really applied well. Some, caulking around like the pool bar was coming off. Even in our shower here, it was just it looks like it was either done not well or a little quickly.
You can tell, so like our building was a repurposed building, but then you can very clearly tell which buildings were the new buildings.
Yeah.
So it's just like that's what happens when it's a building they bought, and you can tell what they did fast.
Right.
And what they carefully rebuilt.
Yes.
Or built from scratch.
And we weren't part of the construction process. We don't know exactly the process or the route that they took to complete this renovation, but overall it was nice, just something noteworthy.
So one thing I will say is, again, go through a travel agent, book, and possibly try to book a room in a building that is new. So like the Sky Pool Suites or the cool new Rendezvous Suites. I know those are very pricey, but some of the buildings are new, so if possible, booking those, you will definitely be in something that is brand new versus something that is a little bit older. So that is one way to kind of guarantee that you will be in something a little bit nicer. But honestly, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me, just something we wanted to note. But seriously, that is all of the cons of the resort.
Yeah.
Very, very little. We honestly, pretty blown away by the resort. We had a really nice time. We thought this, within being here for 24 hours, we kept saying like, this is definitely the prettiest of the resorts we've been to. Really excited. We cannot wait for Royal Dunn's River to open next door. We think this is just going to be one of the best. Yeah. For sure. It really already is in terms of like how beautiful it is, in terms of the staff. The food is like the restaurants and creativity and service is really wonderful. Yes, it's far, but sometimes it's worth going a little out of your way for things. So we really had a wonderful time. Definitely think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, so nicely done, Sandals. Thank you again to the amazing team here. We truly appreciate it. And yeah, more Sandals vacations for us coming down the road.
Yes, and thank you to everybody who came and said hello on this vacation. So if you do see us, please come and say hello. It was so much fun getting to talk to so many of you. So thank you to everybody who came up to us.
Yeah, it was great meeting you all. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media at A Couple Travelers.
And until next time, keep traveling.